Hey guys, Toby Morrison here. Welcome to today's question and answer. Today we have an email question by Catty. Hi Toby, how do you deal with people who do not understand CFS? It has come to the point I hide my pain so I don't have to deal with it. When it is your closest relatives, how do you handle the doubters? I feel like this question is a very good one and a very common problem amongst people who are going through this hard time. And I'm going to cover this topic in two different areas because there's one aspect where it is really important to get people around you to understand and support you. But then there's the other side of the equation, which is really the suffering of you wanting other people to understand when inevitably they actually won't be able to understand because they haven't been through the same situation and circumstances that you have been through or are going through. So it's a bit of like that catch-22 where, it's like, here, step into my shoes and see how it feels. And, with chronic fatigue syndrome, you can't exactly do that. So let's start with actually getting our family members and people around us to understand. So the best way to get people to understand your situation is to tell it like it's a story. So people can understand it in a metaphor way. So, to explain chronic fatigue syndrome, you don't want to say, this is how I feel, because it just sounds like you're complaining. And even though you are stating what is real for you, it won't process in their brains that well. What you could say is like, do you ever remember when you went, you flew overseas and you were really jet lagged and you were like tired for like 4 days straight and you your throat was sore, your glands were swollen and you just were completely exhausted? Times 10 that, or times 20 that, that's what chronic fatigue feels like all the time. You could say something like that. Or, you could just say, when you get like the flu and you're sick for 2 weeks, times that by 10 or 20, add jet lag and then being hungover from drinking too much alcohol. That's what it feels like when you've got chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia without doing any of that to get it. And you can share this video with them and share that because that's ultimately how it can feel sometimes. So there is another way as well, which is the spoon theory. You can explain to people that with your energy levels, especially if you're at a low level of health with your immunity and with chronic fatigue syndrome, you can explain to them with the spoon theory saying that I have 5 spoons per day or 10 spoons per day, and pretty much for me to get out of bed takes 1 spoon away, and so I only have 5 spoons to use, whereas a healthy person has unlimited spoons. They can push themselves, they can do lots of stuff and they'll be fine. But if I use my 5 spoons up, that's it. I can't do any more for that day because I'm just completely exhausted and floored. My energy stores are depleted. So you can explain it in that sense. I use the credit system for my clients, which is the 10 credit rule. Figure out how many credits you expand for each different activity. You have 10 credits per day. Try not to spend any more than 10 per day, especially when you're at that lower end of the health bracket. And if you do spend over 10 credits, then you obviously need to do things to regain those credits back so you can use them again the next day. If you do expend your credits or, go beyond the 10 credits, then, there's a thing called payback, which means that, it's a post-exertional malaise, which means that you'll be knocked back for, anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 days, if not weeks for some people, depending on the severity of their health. So it's important for people to obviously understand and support you, but there is another catch-22 to this. And I had a lady recently, employing me for some coaching, and she said, I just need my husband to understand how bad I am and understand my illness. I'm never going to get better until he understands more. And this lady's focus was completely on trying to get her husband to understand her illness. Now, the goal for her was to get better and is to get better, yet she's so focused on trying to control how her husband understands her. And I said to her, so you're telling me that you're not going to get better until your husband understands that, how bad you are? And she said, yes. And I said, what difference does it make whether he understands or not? At the end of the day, it's got your recovery has nothing to do with anyone outside of you. Yet that's just another story you're telling yourself, another barrier or limitation that you're putting up that's holding you back from moving forwards within yourself. And I said, if you didn't believe that your husband had to understand, then you wouldn't be so stressed out about it all the time and so stressed that he doesn't understand, which is causing you the suffering anyway. And inevitably, unfortunately, he won't be able to understand the severity of what she's going through because he's not her. There's a certain thing we can emphasize and imagine the pain of someone and the pain and suffering that someone's going through, but it's not actually ours until we imagine it and make it real for ourselves. And so you can't expect someone else to understand what's going on inside you because they're not inside your body. They can't experience how you actually feel. Of course, you can describe it and tell them all day long, but most people won't get it, especially if they haven't been through it. So my suggestion with this is, okay, there's one side what's really important, explain how you're feeling, explain and communicate in an open way of what it is and how you experience your life right now. But trying to convince people that you're not well is inevitably going to keep you stuck there as well. You don't want to stay unwell. You want to say, hey, this is what I'm going through right now, but if you could help me with this, this, and this, that would be really great and would support me and benefit me in my recovery to better health. Now, the other side of it is stay in your own business. And this is a really hard one because obviously you do want to, it's a lonely journey when you're going through chronic fatigue syndrome, I know. And inevitably you might lose a lot of friends. I know I did through my journey, and lots of people I see and people who are in our program, we've got like 750 people from 31 countries in one group. And it's amazing to see how much connection and sharing there is because for so long there wasn't. They were all, on their own and felt like they were the only people going through this situation. So it's important to get a good tribe, but know that that is not the basis of recovery. It actually starts with you and ends with you. And you don't want to rely on anyone outside of you to, be the limitless or limitation of what you want to achieve. Of course, get support, get help, communicate that properly. And that's really important to have a really good team around you. But remember, trying to convince other people about your situation, they're never going to be able to step into your shoes and feel the pain and suffering that you're going through. So it's really important, just ask that question is, does it really matter if they understand or not? They're just doing the best they can with what they've got. You're doing the best you can with what you've got. And if you know that and you can express that, then the communication and connection will be a lot better. But when you're trying to convince someone else to understand your situation, it becomes a really tricky game. And so my suggestion is stay in your own business, focus on what you can control. You can't control anything outside of you anyway. Of course you can communicate it and express yourself, but then it becomes, you don't want it to become a full-time job when you're constantly trying to, let everyone know what's going on with you. That's tiring in itself. So instead, switch your focus, go, what can I do to help myself? What can I get out of this? And you still have a lot of value in the world. It just might come from a different place than you're used to showing it. And so it's not about giving up or stopping, who you are. It's just simply about embracing what's going on. Ask for help when you can, in a way that's not saying try and understand me, but instead, be open, be soft in your approach, and just ask, hey, do you mind if you help me in this situation right now? And of course, look at how you could maybe help them. Because as you know, it's a two-way street. When people are trying to understand you, you have to understand them and see their situation. So step into their shoes and ask yourself, if I was them and I'd never experienced this, would I understand? The answer is probably no. And that will help you just gain some clarity and go, you know what? It's not his or her fault that they don't understand. If I was them, I wouldn't either. Problem solved. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for the question. I think it's a really important topic. Like I said, family members and people around you definitely need to support you. It doesn't mean they'll understand you. And once you realize that, it will make life a lot more easier just to go about your business, what you can do with yourself, what you can control on a day-to-day basis to help you go from here to here, where you want to go. All the best for now. For more information, you can go to cfshealth.com, subscribe to the free daily email that you get, and ultimately, CFS also stands for Choice Future Success. There are so many people who have recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. I'm a walking example, but thousands and thousands of other people are too. They're out there living their lives, so it's absolutely possible for you too. Hang in there. I know it's not easy, but it does get better in the long run. All the best for now.